So the simple definition. So I'm also recording our workshop from this workshop onwards so that I can also share the recording as well as the presentation. So I will just go through once again the definition for those who are unable to see or unable to view it. So it is defined as a natural person. So as you know that ultimate beneficial owner will be the natural person or not any unnatural, I mean not a building or any entity will not own entity again. So it will be ultimate the natural person who owns the certain amount of percentage in any entity or any legal form of business and who un he it ultimate beneficiary also known as who ultimate controls it or conduct the financial transaction or influence the financial or investment affairs of any legal entity is also known as UBO. So someone called as beneficial owners. So everything is good now about the definition. So I'm just going through the, so who is the owner? Whenever whenever you are doing any KYC or I mean not in KYC, I mean in any general scenario, whenever you see a building, a costly building or a costly mobile or a costly, and a laptop or any accessories to the matter, who is the owner? I mean, the first question for me will remind me who is the owner. So the owner thing, you have started from that as per my view. So for private corporation, how do we, I mean, search beneficial ownership? Can someone can just throw light on it? Any kind of information, or you came to know by your experience? How do you come to know when you are doing KYC on a private corporation?
Hemant Manoj here.
Yeah,
So generally, while doing KYC on the customer, it means an entity or a company.
yes.
Generally, we have to see the who is the ultimate beneficial owner of that company. So we
Correct.
have certain layers of ownership where it ultimately leads to a natural person, as you rightly said. So generally, we get information regarding UBOs or ultimate beneficiary owners from articles of association or annual reports or client themselves. They come and declare this is the ultimate beneficiary owner of our company. So, and we have some public websites and paid websites where we can go and search who is the ultimate beneficiary owner of the company. So these are the some of the sources where we can find easily who is owning that particular company or an entity.
Oh, great. You made my life very easy now. So,
Thank you.
here is the thing. So, the first point is, how do we know what are the requirements while, you are doing I mean, if you are searching a beneficial ownership, you need a proof of address, a valid proof of address, which is, it depends upon your internal policies of your financial institution or bank. Majority of the banks follow, if you identify a beneficial owner, his proof of address must be valid for 90 days. For example, if I am a customer and I'm submitting a proof of, I'm sending my phone bill and it is a last month bill and it and you know that it is it's a latest proof of address and it is valid one and you should not accept a very old address also. So it must be a valid proof of address and unexpired proof of identity. Proof of identity such as passport, driving license, and any other valid identity issued by the government. So you need the requirement is if you able to identify a valid beneficial owner, then you need this uh, proof of address and valid proof of identity. And the next one comes, how do we look or search or find information for the ultimate beneficial owner? So there are, certain scenarios or, sources. How do you locate the beneficial owners? The first one is, client, he himself declare, these are the list of beneficial owners who certainly own the this if it is an entity A, B, C, D owns equally 25 percentage each in this entity, so the client himself uh, declare himself. I mean, declare that these are the persons who are owning entity. And you can also, as Manu already explained, you can also search information on the beneficial ownership or structure in their audited annual report. You will find it in the Google if you search with your investor name. So the annual report must be of the last assessment year. For example, if you're working on investor in today, you must have your his the annual report of the last year. You cannot have the annual report of 2015 and say that say hey guy, I got this annual report. I got the ownership structure and this is these are the this list are the beneficial owners. So till now everybody is good, or you have any queries?
Yes, Hemant, I just have one query regarding as you validated it's for private corporation
Yes,
for the source of finding information, for the beneficial owner. Is it
yes.
similar even for the trust as well?
Trust no. So trust, it's totally different one. So it depends upon your process also. If your process uh, investor is, investor is free. Depends upon your investor or your relationship manager. If they are sharing the trust documents and the information and everything with you, then your life is very easy. Or else, if they are not sharing anything, then you need to, you need to just, worry like anything. You need to send your query so many times, doing follow-ups, everything. You need to be behind your relationship manager or the onshore team to get the requirements done. I hope.
But again, yes, as you rightly said, see one of the point, in the audited annual report. But of
Yeah.
course, even the trust companies, they might have this memorandum of association or there's some registration of the unit. So there's also possibility that they could also register that, the beneficial owner there as well, right? Or it's something
Yeah.
that it has to be only the investor, in case of trust companies that we have to follow up with them.
Uh, yeah, now we are changing the totally the entity type. So I also know that, some of the trust also formed as private corporation. So in those cases, they will submit, you will get the information from the public, or else the client will declare all the information. And you can also,
Okay.
you can get each and every information on the Google if it is a reputed company.
And Hemant, I just want to add one more point regarding this. For example, we cannot completely rely on articles of association or memorandum of association, because while
Yes.
registering, UBO may be a starting point. UBO may be one person. After some time, UBO may be change. Like a percentage of ownership may change. It depends upon the voting rights or the public listed company. For example, if a company is listed in any stock exchange, so maximum shares may be bifurcated or transferred to one person to another person.
Yes,
So
yes, right,
this
right.
year may be one UBO for one entity, and the next year the UBO may change. So we cannot completely rely on articles of association and memorandum of association, where it gives the information about what is the status of the client when it formed, but it doesn't tell anything about the recent changes in the company or recent changes in the ownership structure. So we have
Yes,
to go
correct.
and follow up with the customer as well as the RM, or we have to rely on any public sources um, uh, like we have certain websites where depends upon the region to region. For example, if we take the France, we generally rely on a website called D&B. So it gives all the information who and all the ownership layers of the company as well as the UBOs of that company.
Correct, correct. So, as you know that, articles of association, not every company or private corporation change every year. So it is articles of association is created when company is formed. So the information in the articles of association will be pretty old. So we need to refresh the information every year in order to know who is holding the what percentage, or the to know the clear idea who is the beneficial owner and who are the key controlling parties. So that's where, client remediation, I mean the KYC remediation team comes into picture. So that is where, and you can also search, one another point I am going to cover. You can also search the information of beneficial ownership through, proof of registration. For example, if you are working on an entity uh, located in UK, so if you go to the company's house, so you will find, information of each and everything. They give very good information on the company located in UK. So you can get that in the company house. I think it is a paid site. Correct, Manu?
I just want to add on one
Uh,
thing. Abhinav, this side, if I can add.
Yeah. Hi, Abhinav. Hmm.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, you are correct, Hemant. Yeah, we have a registered companies for registries for different locations. Like for Singapore, it is Accra. For India, it is
Mm.
MCA, and for UK, it is like Companies House.
Yeah.
So we get the information, the director list, the signatories list. So and it is like I think it's a paid site because for UK, it's a beta version of the UK's Companies House now, if I'm correct.
Correct. Correct. It is
And
a
for
beta version of.
beta version for Accra, it is for Singapore.
Yes.
Correct.
MCA for India, like this is a quite example. So we do find the current structure. So it's an like, independent confirmation on what we get it from the company, I think.
Yes, and you can also get, the UBO information in some of the registries, I mean state registries from US as well. I mean there are very few. For example, I think Chicago or New Jersey, I think you can get the UBO information. If you are lucky, you can get it. If you are not lucky, then you need to ask your relationship manager. And there also sometimes, client mention that there are no individuals who owns, our threshold limit. For example, your bank decided that you need to have 25 percentage of beneficial ownership information, but your investors say we don't have any, I mean, owners above the threshold limit. So, in those cases, we will just uh, take the proof of ID and address proof of the key controllers. We will just leave the UBO part because client already confirmed that there are no beneficial owners less than your threshold limit. But it also depends upon your bank. In some banks, they just follow the nearest percentage. For example, if someone is owning 17 percentage or 18 percentage in your investor, then they can consider it as a ultimate beneficial owner. So it depends upon your bank policy, internal policy. Anyone would like to add any other points in this on this?
Yeah, Hemant, just wanted to confirm one thing. What about US? What is the paid registered site for US region?
Sorry, what is it?
For US region, I mentioned MC about India and Accra about Singapore. Like UK, we
Okay.
have companies out. What about US?
US have, different state registries where you can find the proof of registration. And if your entity is regulated by OCC, for example, you can get the regulation proof, or if your company is listed, so you can go to the NYSE site. So it depends upon your entity type as well as and what their nature of business is. So depends upon that we can find the information regarding that. Yeah. So in some of the cases we can see that client refused to provide UBO details. I have seen so many cases where client refused to provide. They say our internal policies are like the so and so, our compliance policies are so and so. We can't disclose the details of our client to you. So in those cases, so it depends upon again this point is, depends upon the bank to bank internal KYC policies. If your bank says if if they are refused to provide the UBO details, you can just straightforward take it as a proof and close the case. But in some of the banks, they at any cost you have to get it the details of the UBO. So we just re-escalate it to the senior management, and they will get in touch with the a relationship manager, and they will furnish the details after some time. So it totally depends upon your internal policies. How do you do the KYC of your that those type of clients? So and I'm going to close this private company here and can move to the next entity type. If you have any queries, we can discuss it right away. Any queries, guys? We can discuss it because
Hi,
major.
Hemant.
Sorry.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, as you mentioned regarding the annual report, can you just tell us, like, is this based on the designation which they mentioned, like CEO could be the BO, or how's that? Like, most probably in annual report we don't get the company. I mean, they don't specify like he's a owner or whatever. As
I
per my
think, okay. You are working in the Indian markets or international?
into US market.
Okay, but as far as I know, all the majority of the audited annual report contains the ownership structure or the beneficial ownership structure. For example, if ABC is a company, this company is 100% owned by this, and this ABC is owned by Hemant Kumar Constructions, and that Hemant Kumar Constructions is beneficial owner is Hemant Kumar Kureli. So here the beneficial owner is Hemant Kumar. So all the information I think will be there in the annual report, and also you can get the information from the 10K report as well, from the SEC filing. If your company is regulated, I mean registered in SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. 10K
Okay,
report is also very good
if in case
information.
of multiple BOs, like I think, can you have any idea on that? If you get a multiple BOs, that won't be mentioned in
Okay.
the annual report. That case, we need to go for a
Yes,
we need to
yes,
request the client or how?
yes, correct. Anybody want to add any more on this or any other things on the private company or entity type? And
I want
Yes,
to add
Hemant.
on the trust account, which I think someone was asking about the trust account. If you have a trust agreement, and if the trustee is individual, and the possibility could be that individual
trust
as a
we will discuss. The next topic is next entity type is trust. So we can
okay,
discuss
all right,
trust in the next
all
one.
right. Thank you.
So we will discuss the any point regarding the private corporation because majority of the KYC we are doing on the private corporation, right? So it would be good. I mean, we discuss it elaborately.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I just want to add one more point regarding this. As you rightly mentioned, generally in annual audited report, we can see all the beneficiary owners and the ownership structure of the client
Yeah.
in the annual reports of the client. Someone asked about a question like if multiple persons is owning a company, if multiple UBOs are there, what is the scenario and how can we go through about
Yes.
it? So I say, for example, they give all the UBOs. If they want to disclose the UBOs of their company, they will give all the UBOs list in the annual report.
Mhm.
So it depends upon us, and depends upon the bank policy, where we have to take all the UBOs or else not required. So if our bank policy says our threshold is 50% or 10%. For example, one of the leading bank, I can say, if high risk client, if client belongs to any sanctioned countries or client belongs doing any transactions with the sanctioned countries or doing a nature of business is into gold mining or something, so that is high risk to the bank, where we have to see that up to 10% of the ownership. So we have to cover 90% of the ownership, and it depends upon the bank policy how much of the percentage that we can take it. So, almost all the annual reports, we can see the ownership structures and the UBOs are the key controllers' names. So, if we cannot see that on UBOs or something, so we can directly reach out to RM or the client, stating that we need so and so ownership regarding this entity. Generally, I can see so maximum 90% of the ownership we can see in the annual reports of the clients.
Yes, but everything. So some of the small private corporation will not have any annual report. So in those cases, will not find anything in the registration proof as well as anywhere. So the last option is, we need to go to the, I mean, we need to send the query to the client as if what is your ownership structure and who is the ultimate beneficial owners, along with the proof of ID asking ID as well as address proof. So that is the last option.
Correct. And the annual report should be audited by Big Four. So if there is no auditing signature on the annual report, we cannot consider the annual report. So that is the most important thing while we searching for the UBO or the ownership structure in the annual reports.
Manu, I come not completely agree with that, but as you know that so many small private corporation get audit. I mean, they are
They
small
can,
audit firms also audit their annual report, not the big four, because they can't
okay.
afford the audit fee they charge, such as PwC or ENY or things. I mean, firms like that.
So, so you're telling we can take, so if it is not only Big Four, we can take the annual report, we can
Yes.
consider the annual report
Yes,
if
but we need to
audited
have,
by
sta their stamp or like any certification with their stamp, like this is certified that this annual report of so and so company is audited for this year so and so, and they get stamp because I see every annual report signed like that by any
Okay,
auditing firm.
okay,
They also mention the cover page as well, but for some of them annual report.
okay.
For some of the so we are good for on private corporation, or we can discuss more because this is uh, I mean most of the population in KYC is like, I mean, I can say 95 or 99 to the matter, because every we will do everything. Majority of the cases belongs to the private corporation. If we are good, then we can move to the next entity type. We are good then? Okay. Okay, the next one is, trust. It's a very difficult one to understand the beneficial ownership structure here. So here's the thing. I think everybody knows why trust is created and what is the definition. I'm not going to cover it now. I'm going to cover only how do we, how do we understand their beneficial ownership structure and what are the requirements. So if you just go through the first point and second point, it talks about, uh, what are the requirements. I mean, the requirements are common in all the entity types. So you require the proof of address, proof, valid proof of address proof, and unexpired identity proof in all the entity types for any beneficial owners, beneficial natural person. So how do we search the beneficial ownership information on the trust? So it depends upon totally on your process. If your process, I mean, can have the trust documents and all the information, then you can know, but you can know who are the beneficiaries or who are the uh, controlling members of the trust. So, so you can either you can, if you are working on a trust client, so you can get the information through client declaration, or you can just go through the trust agreement, read through it, So first, if you have the trust document, the most important thing you will focus on it, the purpose, why the trust agreement is created. For example, in US, they create so many type of trust agreement. For example, family trust, private trust, and so on. So for example, if you are working on family trust, the purpose will be, uh, to wife and husband created trust for the benefit of their children. I mean, they have certain amount, they give certain amount to the trust, so they will create a trust for the benefit of the childs for to meet their education fees or after, as they mention in the trust, after so and so, after they become adult or after they complete the school, this amount will be given to the children. In this case, they died or something happened. He is a settler who is this. So you need to just focus on the purpose of the trust creation. And when trust is created, because this is a year of birth, I mean, you can say the birth certificate of trust agreement is a birth certificate of trust. So you need to see who are the beneficiaries of it. You will find everything in the trust agreement. And as I mentioned, there are so many trusts such as private trust, family trust, and there are so many scenarios because the trust is used for money laundering and terrorist financing. So you need to be very careful. So you take your time, read the complete agreement, and if you feel that for example, if you are working on a trust agreement, the trust was created in 1956 or 1978, and you are refreshing KYC now. So in those case, you might find, trust is very old. So you need all the details, everything beneficial owners. You need a new trust agreement because it is created in 1978 or 1989. 89. You don't know that the trustee or settler or beneficiaries are still alive or died. So you need everything. You need to get the all the information fresh. I mean, the fresh agreement, everything new. So, so for example, if the beneficiaries are minors, then you also need the details of the guardian who's taking care of them. So, any queries?
Hemant, generally, we need to be more cautious about trust because, as you rightly said, when the trust is formed on before 1950s or 1960s, at that point of time, there is no stringent rules or any rules and regulations in the banks.
Yes.
So that and all formed in the form of legacy standards. So
Yes.
each bank is following global standards. So we have to be careful while doing trust accounts, or we are making remediation for the trust account. So we have to get all the
Yes.
information because we are not really aware of trust or what happened at that point of
Yes. Because yeah. Hello. Hello. I think someone has query. Please feel free to ask. I mean, we can discuss. I mean, there are certain 3 points, when you are working on trust. First thing is, you need to know the purpose of the trust. If you have the trust document, then there are three things you need to know. The purpose of the trust, why it is created. Second thing is when it was created. And the third thing is, if beneficiaries are there, who are the beneficiaries? If the truster he himself is a trust, he is a beneficiary. So these are three things, you need to be very careful about it. And if you are raising the wrong requirements also, for example, uh, there is a family trust and the you are asking the proof of address or details about the minors. So in it depends upon the bank policies also. Some banks do not ask, proof of address or details of the minors. They just need the names who are the beneficiaries. That's it. So everything is good. So
Hemant, sorry, just to add here, sorry, just one check, since you have
yes,
told the exceptions, can just give a couple of examples more, like, I mean, as per your, or the team out here, as per your experience, what might be the challenges, when dealing with the trust? Of course, you've told me that, the one which was previous with the 1950s or 60s. In addition to that, are there
so
any other kind of
the
scenarios?
challenge is it depends upon your process. So if you have trust document, you have the all the information. So if you don't have trust document, then you need to rely on the client declaration. For example, you ask the purpose of the trust, and you ask the who all the beneficiaries, and you ask their proof of address and proof of IDs. You ask the settler proof of address, settler trustee proof of ID and address. So in that scenarios, you need to totally depend upon the investor, how I mean how comfortable they are sharing the information, because the US, for example, if you are working on US clients are very very sensitive to share very I mean you can say very they are very sensitive to share their personal information. So they that not it is not easy to you know to convince them. So that is a challenge here. If you have all the documents, you can just go page by page, you read through and understand why it is created. If you don't have anything, and if you are just searching in Google also will not find any trust information on trust, because they are created privately. I mean,
Yeah,
no
it
one
is generally
yeah.
use the whole complexity in the trust comes where finding the trustees or beneficial owners of the trust. So generally, some people may disclose their owners to the bank. Some people doesn't want to beneficial owners. So they will create a trust stating that it is for some ex person or something else. They will not give all the details of the beneficiary owners. So there comes the complexity in the picture where finding the beneficiary owners of the trust and the some in some cases generally they will not give the who form the trust. Generally, settlers will be in the picture, and people who form the trust doesn't come into the picture. So because of so many reasons like evading of tax or doing some illegal activities or
Yes.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there are reasons for that.
There might be a number of reasons we don't know.
Thank you.
Are we good? So moving to the next entity type is partnership. So you know why is created, and what is the definition of partnership. And as I said earlier, the requirements are same. You need proof of address and proof of identity of all beneficial owners above threshold limit. So how do we search the beneficial ownership information? The first point is same is common for all the entity types by client declaration. If client declare that this list of partners are owning this is percentage in our investor, then we will just go by that declaration. If you have the partnership agreement, so you just go to the partnership agreement, and you came to know in the Reliance Industries, for example, ABC persons are limited partners and they are owning 20 percentage each. And they are also a general partner who owning 20 percentage, who is entity. So you came to know, you have clear picture, no, you have these three persons and one entity is owning this percentage who are general partners and who are limited partners. So by reading the partnership agreement, you will come to know. And you also need to be very careful when partnership is created. For example, if partnership is created way back in 1990s, then you never know if this still limit that partners are still alive or they might be discontinued in between. So you need to ask the any changes to, so you need to ask the investor, do you have any changes in the current partnership agreement, or you have any addition or deletion or something like that. So you need to ask those information to the client, and then client come back if they have any deletion. If they have no changes, they will come back. Any 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 issues or any queries? Please feel free to discuss. We
Yeah,
can
yeah, but
discuss it.
just wanted to clarify one thing. Just what that first line says, GP and LP.
GP is general partner. Sorry, I just made it in short term. GP is general partner. GP is general partner and LP is limited partner.
It's like a just a nomin, just coined for some purpose, or like a difference between a GP and an LP.
So limited partners are like, limited partners are the partners who invest in the partnership. For example, you and me, I mean, we decided to start a shop, I mean a general store shop. So you are a limited partner, you invest everything, and GP is a person who manage the store, everything. So I'm the general partner. I manage these things, and you give me some salary to me. So GP is like me, and LP is like you. So LP is like, investor, everything, capital. He formed the capital and everything. GP is like, is he it is not true in every case, but you can understand like that. GP can invest in the partnership, but his investing, I mean, the investment will be very low, whereas the investments regarding to the limited partner is very huge. Their capital contribution is very huge. So that is a difference, the major difference between GP and LP. If someone has better understanding, just you can share with us. Anything else on partnership? We can just go through the next uh, type. Okay,
Yeah, we can go.
okay, great. So, anybody worked on pension funds or pension plan? Any idea on it?
This would be interesting if if you can just share the concept and everything background to it.
Okay, so so as we have, I think everybody is Indian now. I think everywhere in the world, you pay if you are employed somewhere, you pay uh, certain amount to the government in the form of pension plan or some amount you contribute for your future. So it is known as pension fund or pension plan or any name you call it. So if you're working on a investor that is a pension plan or pension fund, you'll not find any beneficiaries over there because the amount the there are so many investors. So it is very difficult to find the ownership structure in those type of entities. So what you will do is, so you will make sure who are the controlling uh, who are the key controlling parties on those type of entities. That's it. But you also need to ask the pension fund charter, for example, where it is located, what is the motive of that fund, or who are the controlling parties, who are the board of members. So everything will be there in the fund charter or pension charter, you call it. So, for example, it depends upon your bank policies as well. For example, you require any two proof of ID and address proof of the key controlling parties. So you need to ask that. Any two controlling parties is common for the pension funds. Everything is good. There are no, I mean, more requirements on this type of entities. There's just two requirements. Chatter is pension fund chatter is a thing you'll get to know why that fund is created, when it is created, where it is created. I mean, in how many, I mean, where it is, where is your money is invested, everything about that fund or the plan about that. Who are the controlling members? So everything you'll come to know about that pension fund in the charter, and the any two controlling parties, you need that proof of ID and address proof. That's it. Any, I mean, any queries or any confusions? Please feel free to discuss. You can share it. I mean, we can discuss it.
Again, Hemant, are there any challenges, processing these, just like
No,
the
these are
previous?
the these are my favorite ones because I love to remediate this kind of entity types. They are very easy. They are very easy and straightforward. We have only two requirements. We just raise it if we don't have any documents, or if we have document that is very old, we will just ask the updated one and just send it. We just complete the case. We are very happy on this type of entities. Anything else? Okay. I'm moving to the next one, which is, casino and gaming industry. So this type of entity, I never worked on it. So I got this information, everything, uh, with some of our members who worked on it. So I will just go through each and every point, and I may not be explain to you effectively because I never worked on it. But it is, it is very self-explanatory if you just go through it. And this is the last entity type. And we can also discuss the other entity type as well, such as, special purpose vehicles and personal investment, private investment company. Those are two important ones. So the first point talks about, in almost all of these type of industries, these are casinos and gaming industries. So any one of us worked on this type of entities?
Hemant, no, but I have some sort of exposure to casinos and gaming industry regarding transaction monitoring in casinos accounts or
Okay,
gaming accounts. So you can explain them, but I can add some more points which I know about it.
okay, great. Yeah. So the first point, talks about, you need if you're if you are working if you're working on KYC on these type of entities, first requirement is like, you need to get you need to see whether your investor has a license or not. Check that license is mandatory before you onboard a client. Once the client is onboarded, KYC requirements will depends upon the player. So, as you know, that gaming industries like, they have certain players who play casinos or gaming like uh, anything, gambling or so things like that. So, for example, UK player needs to submit his KYC again if he stakes more than £2,000 in time frame of 24 hours, and onboarding analyst also requests players to validate their payment methods. So they can validate payment methods such as bank account, credit card, online wallet, and Nettler by sending the screenshot of the account. So, so it gives us, a good picture on the casinos and gaming industries. If someone wants to take a lead to give a brief introduction on the transaction monitoring type, because these are like related to transaction monitoring.
Yes, Hemant. Generally casinos and the gaming industry.
So Manu,
w-
one quick question. So how do you start transaction monitoring or to the matter KYC on this type of entities? Could you please just walk us through from initial?
Yeah, definitely, Hemant. Sure. So, as I have exposure in both KYC and AML transaction monitoring, I have a good exposure on this. Generally, if it comes to the casinos and gaming industry, of course, they are legal in UK and US countries,
Okay.
where the thing is the complexity in the whole subject of casinos and gaming industry. If we go and play the casinos, if we have to give them money and they will give us some coins worth of our money, so we have to play with that coins and return. If we win, if we have more
Okay.
coins in our hands at the end of the day, so
Okay.
if we return that coins, they will not give money to our hand, they will directly transfer our money to our bank account. So
Okay.
here the complexity comes into the picture, where your money, or if you have any illegal funds or money laundering funds, you can directly use that money by going into the casinos and play some games or casinos. You can convert that money into white money to your bank account straight away. So here, if you see the bank account of a customer, obviously the funds are coming from the gaming industry or casinos industry.
Yes.
So as is legal in US and UK and some other countries, generally we tend to know, it is okay because that is all legal. People might get funds from casinos. So generally, people use their money laundering or different types of illegal funds to launder through these
Okay.
casinos and gaming industry. For example, if I see the account, a person may get multiple credits from gaming and casinos industry. So, for example, if customer may get another source of income, like he's getting a salary credits or he's getting a monthly rental incomes or something, so we might think that customer is using the source of funds to play casinos or gaming industry. So if we
Okay.
see certain types of customers, all there are credits from casinos, and there is no such credits from salaries or rental incomes. Those that comes the suspicious activity of a customer.
Okay.
So we I think that the customer is doing something anomalous activity, which is leading to different terrorist financing or money laundering activities. And I just want to add one more point regarding casinos and gaming industry. Uh, these are all little complexity in nature. Previously, there is no certain rules and regulations for this gaming and casinos. There is no KYC such for casinos. So maybe like 3 years or 4 years before, I am not sure about it, how many years before. So they started doing KYC for their customers as well. So there is an regulator
Okay.
for casinos and gaming industry, where they will check all the casinos industries whether there is a KYC standards are maintaining in their industries or not, and they have to validate their customers, take the KYC documents of their customers, as well as their customer bank accounts, residential address, everything.
Okay. 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 So, for example, if I travel to, oh no, US and I want to, I want to experience casino and gaming industry. So first I need to submit a proof of address to the casino management. Then they allow me to play the thing, play anything, right? Or I can just have money in my pocket and just enter the casino and just start playing it. Or
Yeah,
thing, or
previously it was not a certain hard rule stating that you have to give KYC documents to the casino industry or gaming industry. So now they mandated that you have to take the KYC documents for the gamers or casino players who they want to play. So, and no certain industries. Previously, casinos industries and gaming industries trying to transfer money to bank accounts. So end of the day, if they win,
okay,
means they have certain coins in their hand, so they can exchange that coins with money. So casinos industries is going to send that money to their bank accounts, not they're giving to hand. So no, nowadays, they are trying to give to the customer hand, so they cannot directly transfer their illegal funds into legal funds. So no, rules are becoming so stringent in casinos industries and gaming industries, like banking industry. Regulators also closely watching their customer account as well.
okay, great.
Hi, this is Marcia Francis, and I'll speak about the casino industry, mostly in Canada and the US. It's a little strange that the KYC doesn't start at the beginning of a relationship because casinos are actually entertainment industries, and a patron or a customer can get into the casino and gamble. But what the US regulation and the Canadian regulation does is indicate to the casino operators when the threshold is breached. For instance, if it's check payments that they're receiving, they have to log that information. Or if they gamble and they have winnings or pay in cash of $10,000 or more, then the casino has to get the information from the client, which is where the KYC begins. But the overarching piece is that the casinos must have an AML program, and the AML program include policy procedure, must have a compliant officer, and there are other items that are there so that they can meet the regulatory requirements of filing a currency transaction report or a suspicious activity report or suspicious transaction report as it is in Canada. And those are the things that are really entrenched in that. But as a customer in a casino going in, a KYC isn't done. The KYC is actually triggered by an action, or else it's a high roller where they're registered and they're given a card. Then detailed KYC is known upfront. So that's a little different from the other entity reporting entities for
Great.
anti-money laundering. Thank
Great.
you.
So
Thanks.
I have a doubt. The SAR or suspicious activity report, is it filing with the banking regulators, or do we have any separate regulators for casinos and gaming industry?
They file with the same reporting entities that the other industries file with, yes. So in the case of the US is IRS, in the case of Canada is the FINTRAC or financial FINTRAC, yes, the Financial Intelligence Unit. They're the ones that get those reports, and they're the ones that does the statistics on it. And if they identify anything that is suspicious, they forward it to law enforcement. In the States, it goes to law enforcement simultaneously as it's filed with FinCEN.
So what is the threshold? Is it $10,000?
For Canada, it has to be it's $10,000 for Canada within a 24-hour period for the currency transaction report. There is no dollar amount when it's a suspicious transaction report. All they look at is a very low threshold that needs to be met by the person indicating that there is a suspicious activity. Something ain't looking right in the with that patron on the floor, and they would escalate that up, and the BSA officer or the AML officer, compliance officer, will take the information, investigate, and if they find that fit that it should be a suspicious transaction report in Canada, then they would file it. If it's in the US, the threshold is just as low, but they sometimes tend to gravitate around a 5,000. It's a transaction around 5,000, but it doesn't have to have a dollar figure for suspicious activity reporting. And in the States, for currency transaction reporting, it has to be over 10,000. So it has to be a minimum of 10,001 cent. If you submit a currency transaction report and it's 10,000, it's going to be rejected because it doesn't meet the threshold.
So
Okay.
I believe it is a combination of all the transactions together, which is resulting up to 10,000 pounds, isn't it?
No, both in Canada, sorry, I can speak for Canada and the US. For Canada, if you're cash in within 24 hours, that means you go in and you give cash, as in currency, fiat currency, to the casino to purchase any gaming activity. Then it's cash in totaling 10,001 cent minimum for US and 10,000 flat for Canada, 10,000 above for Canada within 24 hours. Cash out has its own rails that it travels on, but it takes the same principle. If it's in the US, it must be 10,001 cent that the casino is going to pay out to that patron within a 24-hour period. And in the US, in Canada, it's $10,000 within a 24-hour period that is going to be paid to that patron. So
Great.
you don't commingle or aggregate the cash in or cash out. They're separate rails, and they're reported on the forms or electronically as separate rails.
Great. Thank you so much, Marcia.
Not a problem. My pleasure.
That's a very good example, and I can correlate what you have said to the presentation. So it's really great. Thank you so much. So so this is a slide talks about, what are the, I mean, who might be the possible UBOs there, I mean, in any entity type to the matter. It says only possible UBOs, not like, if you're working on any entity type. So this is only uh, this is a possible UBOs entity list. If someone is very new to the KYC and they want to learn the KYC and what are these UBO, how do we find? So this slides is good, good about that. Good about that. So I can share with you this presentation right away. And thank you for all for attending this workshop. Thanks. These are spelling mistakes over there, lol. So any anything else you want to add or any feedback on this workshop or any points to add?
Hemant, just want to check, for possibility for this.
Sorry?
I think yeah, this is really
Just
good.
to check.
We can take it to the next level, and I think this is very encouraging for others as well to learn new things, new updates, everything, and getting the basics right. So that's important, I think.
Okay, so great. So we'll continue the same topic next week as well, and we will add more 2 or 3 topics such as money services business, or one more topic is very critical one like SPV, special purpose vehicle, and one more we will pick one more topic, and we will discuss more 3 entity types next in the next workshop. Might be next Sunday as well. So you
And
can
Hemant,
also write to me
just want to check,
individually.
on this.
Sorry?
Just want to check, this UB concept of UBO, is it applicable even for the sole proprietors? I mean, I'm not sure how does it work on that, or maybe.
Yes, it works on the sole proprietorship as well. For example, if you yourself is an owner of any business, for example, a mini store or any store on any general store, so you open an account in a bank, so you will be treated as a beneficial owner, a single beneficial owner of your business. So I think I have answered your query.
Yes, thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So any other points you want to add? You can also reach out to me individually on WhatsApp or my mobile. Thank you so much for joining us. And I will share you the presentation right away. And I welcome your feedback. I'm waiting for your feedback actually. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Hemant. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and the next workshop will be on the next Sunday as well because I want to quickly complete this topic next week itself so that we can jump to the next topic. I mean, the new topic.
Thanks, Hemant. Yeah, cheers,
Thanks,
everyone. Bye.
thanks, Mashi, and thanks everyone
Bye, everyone. Bye.
for your time and your interest.
Thank you, Emna.
Thank you.